Like, it's a joke, but you do have to fight for your right to party.
The roots of electronic music are like resistance. I'd say like what we first saw before like actually getting together was that Boiler Room was like coming, and it had just recently like been public that they had been acquired by KKR,
which is a really awful, evil global investment firm that has, you know, investments and ties to everything from settlements in the West Bank to the fossil fuel industry. So in response to that, there's been a global call to boycott Boiler Room. Yeah, so there was supposed to be a Boiler Room in San Francisco today. They started planning that a couple months ago and started reaching out to people in the scene. And then it was Jorge, a more digital, who was the first to publicly, you know, denounce Boiler Room and say they were withholding themselves from consideration.
Cool. We actually just spoke with Ben, and he mentioned that you were kind of one of the first ones to, you know, post about the Boiler Room boycott and like kind of step away from that, like on social media. Can you tell us just a little bit about like the original thought process behind everything?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I would say that I was very much inspired by like B.A.S.S in LA, and then Iconica. They had already pulled out of like Boiler Rooms in their respective cities. Basically, I just got an email from Boiler Room asking if I would want to like curate a room or like a stage. Which I'd done in the past, and once I saw that, I mean, I've already signed on to PACV and like B.A.S.S. So I kind of knew that I would probably need to drop out.
And it was Ben, DJ Fridge, who kind of got everyone who like showed interest in that together to be like, maybe we should actually like do something bigger. Because then eventually we got reached out, like Boiler Room reached out to us to do the event with Fake and Gay and also More Digital. And all three of us said no. So we're like, yeah, we're down to do a strike fund for it.
There's a lot of collaborations that happen, a lot of like, two collectives doing stuff together, but this is the first time that I've seen in a long time where it's more than that.
Basically, everyone who dropped out kind of got together and started talking and decided to throw our own show. Just to raise money for the people who were dropping off the lineup, because Boiler Room's a big brand. That's like thousands of dollars that they would have got paid that they aren't now. And also, again, just to take that labor and that energy that was going to be put into this like super corporate, you know, brand and put it back into the actual like Bay Area underground culture.
The Bay Area Solidarity Strike, what was the like end goal for the event here today?
Yeah, so I think it really came out of a desire to make it possible for artists to turn down something like Boiler Room. When I pulled out, I wasn't expecting any like alternate shows or anything like that.
Absolutely.
It was just like a decision. And I know that in my initial statements or like on my IG story or whatever, I said I understand why people might take this gig, and I don't want to blame individual artists. I feel like that's kind of like something that online we fall into sometimes. And so I wanted to keep the focus on KKR, but in doing so, Daria and Tall from No Bias kind of came up with the idea of organizing a strike fund. And then after that, it was like, oh, well, how can we like raise more money for the funds?
Like artists still need to make money in some point. And like some artists, like it's not because of what they believe in. They just have no choice. They're going to have to take the gig if they want to make rent that month.
So that's the whole point. It's
showing
like,
that community, we can provide those funds for you rather than like taking it from a corporation and having to go against like what you believe.
Do you think there's like a lot of significance in like artists or like companies like pulling out of stuff like this, even when their like income and stuff is like affected?
Yeah, I mean, I think like as artists, you know, not that everyone needs to be like a Marxist theorist or whatever, you know, but I do think that like artists are in their communities and in society, and I think like the best art is a response to like what's going on in the world.
It seems very obvious to me that the right thing to do, the human thing to do is, you know, use whatever amount of power you can derive from your art to push for liberation.
I know like the Bay Area has a long history. I'm sure that's why it got like a lot of initial support in general.
Totally. Well, that's one of the I think one of the things that's really special about the Bay, like I don't know if there would have been that response in LA or like Miami.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, like undoubtedly there are a ton of really cool people in all of those scenes who are doing really important work. I mean, we had a sister show in New York, like,
Right.
so this is called B.A.S.S, the Bay Area Solidarity Strike.
Yes.
They had the Big Apple Solidarity Strike.
I saw that,
like
yeah.
2 weeks ago. It was a huge success. So like, you know, this movement is way bigger than the Bay Area, right?
Totally.
It's
Yeah.
international, but no, like the support we got from the day we announced, you know, how much support there was online, even just leading up to it, like how game people were to invest in something local versus, you know, kind of something bigger and international. Like I really do think it's a testament to just the energy that's here in the Bay.
Absolutely.
Personally, I had done a few fundraisers, but this was definitely a larger leap.
In terms of the event itself, like obviously like this can be a relatively politically charged like topic, and then with the, you know, addition of like DJs and stuff, like how do you find a balance between like having a good time and like, you know, bringing people in, and then also like making sure that like there is like a serious tone to a point where you're educating people that are coming that maybe don't know much about what this is about?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It's honestly something that we've been kind of discussing all along. I would say a lot of that comes from, we partnered with Artists Against Apartheid.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to make sure that people left this show with at least like some type of education, or at least a chance to engage with the topic and with the issue. So they kind of helped provide like, you know, more like thought out thinking and words than we maybe could or are prepared to do. But I also think like we're all kind of promoters in our own way and know how to like toe the line. Like we still want it to be fun and like a party. We didn't want like any images of violence or shit like that,
absolutely.
you know?
Yeah.
I feel like, to not like toot my own horn here, but like I feel like every event starts with the flyer. And so as I throw events and we started throwing events, like when I sit down and like set up to make a flyer on a blank canvas, like this is one of the few I'll say that like genuinely like was scary. Knowing this history, everything I'm speaking about, like I'm setting a tone. So like just to look at like the juxtaposition of the hard lettering of B.A.S.S with like people holding hands around speakers on a field representing California as a whole. Like I think that was like the first approach.
Yeah.
All that we like, our whole group, this whole B.A.S.S group, like in the chats, working through every word of the announcement post.
So like Zoom meetings, like every other week.
We wanted to take this seriously. We had multiple meetings that were very intentional about like how can we make this event intentional, and how can we make it so no one can come here and leave without ingesting some of the more political reasons why this event is happening. But yeah, you also need to make it a good time, or else like no one's gonna listen to you, or just, you know, you're gonna be talking in an echo chamber with people who you just already agree with you 100%, are already super about it, and that's sick. But we need more people.
Absolutely.
You know,
It was like intentional where we placed everything. So, you know, people are just like waiting around, don't know what to do. They can like look around and see that there's something for them to look at and like get informed and take something away and like read about it at home.
We were very intentional with making sure that like not all of us are as like well educated on like the politics like behind this, or how to speak about it like appropriately. So that's why we like made sure that like Artists Against Apartheid and like Street Spirits, and we had like people here who like it is what they do best, like speaking about this and like teaching other people about this, and making sure that they were like a big part of the event as well.
How do you feel like nightlife and like club culture kind of ties into that?
Nightlife has always been a place for marginalized people, for people that are still fighting for their liberation, to gather and to exist. And I think that's really powerful. And I think as a nightlife artist, I push into that. You shouldn't shy away from that.
Yeah.
You know, you can't protest 24 hours a day, right? Like you need to have community. You need to have fun and experience pleasure, right? Like there's a famous quote, I don't know who to attribute it to, but it was bury their friends in the morning, march in the afternoon, and dance all night.
Raving in itself is a resistance. I think like, you know, we're in a time where the new mayor is like throwing snake hips parties. But like, and that's great. But like historically, if you look at the 90s, like the start of this all. Burning Man started here. It was a resistance. Music in itself, like Chuck Berry, jazz, bebop, it's all resistance, yeah.
Club culture, as far as like the roots in, you know, disco and house and techno, was all about resistance.
Do you have any like just other words for any like readers or listeners out there that are like either super involved or not very involved, and like anything, any words for them?
Yeah, I would just say to get organized. I feel like more than anything, like, you know, I've been like protesting and going to things since, you know, like I was in college, but it wasn't until I really decided to go to like meetings and get organized where I actually felt like hope.
Yeah.
Where I'm not just like screaming into the void, which is valid, you know, like sometimes you need to do that too. But I think like getting organized and like realizing that, you know, our opposition is very organized, so we should probably get pretty organized as well.
People are like very disillusioned with the impact, and I think like I was too first, and I think it can be inspiring to see that there is strength in numbers. I think especially because the boiler room didn't end up happening here, I think people could see that you know, people can come together and actually have results out of it too.